Welcome to Mrs. E English Skills. I'm Mrs. E and today we're looking at AQA GCSE English Language, Paper 2, Question 3, How does the writer use language? Before we look at a sample question, let's have a recap of language devices. Try pausing the video here to fill in the rest of the table with the definitions and examples of each language device to show how much you can remember. Okay, let's have a look at each. Alliteration. The same letter or sound at the beginning of adjacent or closely connected words. For example, a terrific tempest tore through the town. Rhetorical questions, asked in order to create a dramatic effect or to make a point. For example, how would you feel? Emotive language, words chosen to evoke emotion, such as, it was horrific and devastating. Direct address, when you use the pronouns you, we or us to address the reader. We can do this if you can help. Facts, something that is known or proved to be true. For example, Manchester City won the 2023 FA Cup. Sorry if you're a United fan. Opinions, a view or judgment formed about something. For example, Liverpool is a beautiful, vibrant city. Repetition, repeating something that has already been said or written. Great food, great music, great atmosphere. Experts, when you use the opinion of someone with authority, respect or influence. For example, Dr. Reginald Green states that it is a wonder for modern medicine. Statistics, numerical data used to support opinions or as evidence for your opinions or what you are writing. 70% of consumers agree. And triples, a list of 3 used to add emphasis. For example, respect, honour and obey the rules. How did you do? So we've looked at a red forest, but we can't forget a soap sam. Can you remember the literary devices within a soap sam? These are the descriptive writing language devices. See if you can fill them in using the first letter of each. Pause the video here before I reveal the answers. Okay, let's have a look. Alliteration, similes, onomatopoeia, adjectives, personification, senses, adverbs, and metaphors. Did you guess correctly? Okay, we've already looked at alliteration. So what is a simile? A simile is when we use like or as to make a comparison. For example, as fast as lightning. Onomatopoeia is words that sound like what is being described, such as boom, crash, slap, crunch. Adjectives describe the noun, for example, the big blue lagoon. Personification is when you give human characteristics to something that is not human. For example, the wind whistled. Senses is when we use the 5 senses in our descriptions. For example, the pine needles prickled my skin and burnt my nostrils. So, how does it feel? What does it taste like? What can you see? What can you hear? Adverbs describe the verb. For example, she angrily pinched him and stared severely. And metaphors is when you say something is something else for dramatic effect. For example, the whole event was an absolute nightmare. Again, how did you do? Now we've remembered our language devices and language features, we can look at a sample question. So paper 2, question 3. Read lines 8 to 15. How does the writer use language to describe the village? This question refers to one source only and is very much the same as Paper 1 question 2, apart from it's worth 12 marks instead of 8. Let's have a look at part of a sample extract. This extract is from an essay written in 1967 called The Village That Lost Its Children by Laurie Lee. Aberfan was a small mining village in Wales. In 1966, many of its people, including children at a local school, were killed when heavy rain caused a landslide. Few people had ever heard of Aberfan until disaster struck. It was just another of the small mining villages lying tucked away in the South Wales valleys, a huddle of anonymous terraced houses of uniform ugliness, unrelieved except for chapel and pub. Its heart was the coal pit, and its environment like the others, the debris of a slowly exhausting industry, a disused canal, some decaying rail tracks, a river black as the Styx, a general coating of grime over roofs and gardens, and the hills above blistered with a century of mining waste. So how do we approach this question? Well, first of all, we need to highlight any words, phrases or language devices relevant to the question. So looking at the lines 8 to 15, its heart was the coal pit and its environment like the others, the debris of a slowly exhausting industry, a disused canal, some decaying rail tracks, a river black as the Styx, a general coating of grime over roofs and gardens, and the hills above blistered with a century of mining waste. Pause the video here and try and see if you can highlight any words, phrases or language devices that tell us how the writer uses language to describe the village. Here I have highlighted words and phrases that I think can help answer the question. Can you label the language devices, features or techniques? Pause the video here to have a go at labelling these before I reveal the answers. Okay, first we have a metaphor. Its heart was the coal pit. Then we have an adverb, slowly, and the verbs exhausting and decaying. We also have adjectives disused and blistered, and a simile, black as the Styx. Once you've identified language techniques, features, words and phrases that are relevant to the question, you need to try and explain the effect of each. For the ones that I've highlighted, can you explain what effect it has in relation to the question? Pause the video here to have a go before I reveal my answers. Okay, firstly, the metaphor its heart was the coal pit implies a life force. The adverb slowly, coupled with the verbs exhausting and decaying, suggests the village is dying. The adjective disused implies abandonment, and the adjective blistered implies pain. And the simile black as the Styx implies near death. Finally, you need to use the point, evidence, explain, develop structure to construct your answer. Your point is the language technique used, your evidence is the quote, your explanation is what it implies, and develop is anything you can add in addition to the points that you give. Pause the video here to have a go at writing your own answer using PEED before I reveal mine. Okay, the writer uses the metaphor its heart was the coal pit to imply that the pit was the life force of the village. The adverb slowly, coupled with the verbs exhausting and decaying, suggests the village is exhausting its life force, implying the industry is dying and so therefore the village is too. The writer implies abandonment by using the adjective disused to describe the canal, adding to the idea the village is becoming lifeless. The adjective blistered describes the effect of the mine on the village surroundings. It implies it is inflicting pain upon the village, suggesting it is the cause of death, emphasized by the simile black as the Styx, the crossing to the land of the dead in Greek mythology. What do you think of this answer, and how does it compare to your own? So now we've looked at how to approach this type of question, let's look at an AQA sample question for this extract. Read lines 27 to 40. How does the writer use language to describe the coal tips? 12 marks. This is further on in the extract. I've given you the paragraph above the specified lines in order to give you more context, but make sure when you're selecting evidence you only use the lines specified. Follow the steps shown in this video to have a go at answering this question. Pause the video here before I reveal an AQA sample high-grade response. So let's look at an AQA high-grade response to this question. The writer uses language to describe the coal tips as dark, dangerous and sinister for the reader, and in doing so, makes effective use of personification to single out coal tip number 7 as a killer with a rotten heart. Here the emotive adjective rotten creates the impression of a malevolent being. This is because rotten can have several connotations, but all of them are negative. For example, it makes a link for the reader with decay, death, but just as importantly, is suggestive of evil intent. It is as if it sets out to deliberately kill the children. This is further added to by a verb phrase, inching ominously, which suggests ongoing movement, slow, imperceptible but inevitable, and the adverb ominously forewarns of the disaster to come. The writer appears to draw on conventions of the horror genre to pull the reader into his account. It has a clear villain and set of victims. How does your answer compare? What do you think of this answer? Thank you for watching this look at Paper 2, Question 3, How does the writer use language? I hope you found it helpful. Don't forget to check out my other videos in this playlist especially to help you keep improving your English and prepare for your GCSE English Language Paper 2 exam. If you have liked this video, then like it, give it a like, subscribe and leave a comment below. If you've got any questions regarding the content, please don't hesitate to add them down below and I'll try my best to answer them. And share this video with anyone who might find it helpful. Thank you for all your support. I'm Mrs. E and I'll see you soon.